Hello, everybody. This is my stage project. My topic choice is the Colombian coffee industry. For trade, the trade agreement that I chose to talk about that affects the Colombian coffee industry was the Free Trade Agreement, which was signed and passed by Barack Obama. Prior to him being president, the Free Trade Agreement was made, but with having to pass the Senate, the House, and all the rules and regulations that agreement had to pass by, it didn't start until May 15th of 2012. And even then, there were still some tariffs on the goods and services because this regulation only went towards goods and services. So in total, this free trade agreement was in the works for 7 years. Next slide is continuing on with trade. So I wanted to talk about the good and the bad of the trade agreement and how it affects the coffee industry in Colombia. Some people don't like this free trade agreement because there is no profit being made since there is no tariffs and no barriers in the way. So both the United States and Colombia are not receiving money in return because there's no tariffs anymore. Also, exporters are losing market share because there is no money being made off the tariffs. But the good of that, there is money being saved through tariffs, which allows the coffee industry as well as the United States to save money and create new jobs. Also, sales for the Colombian coffee industry did go up by 11% the year that this trade agreement started. Government policy. The first policy I'm going to be talking about is Social Security for farmers. The Colombian government wanted to ensure that their farmers were getting well rewarded for their work, so they ensure that all companies provide Social Security for their farmers. If this is not happening, legally, farmers cannot work, so production will stop. Nobody will be there to plant, water, look out for the beans and pick the beans and distribute them to companies, and there will be no beans, so no coffee will be made and exported, and no coffee will be on the shelves in major US grocery stores. The second policy I want to talk about is the Green Association for Colombian Coffee. This policy was recently made in 2016 by the company Escalo. They wanted to ensure that all Colombian coffee was made for the best the ability that it can be. So they made sure that the government passed this policy. This policy is the 1464 coffee bean policy. This policy meaning that the coffee beans are sent through screenings that are different sizes. So this coffee the coffee beans must fit through 14 through 16 numbered screenings, and if not, they will not use those coffee beans. As well as this, their tolerance of the coffee needs to be 5%. Prior to this, it was a 1.5 tolerance percentage. The reason for that being is they want to ensure that their consumers are getting the best coffee that they can be, as well as healthy coffee beans to ensure that they're getting the well coffee. That is why that they're making sure that the 14 to 16 rule is there for the screening, so they know that they're having healthy coffee beans. The third policy I want to talk about is 100% Colombian coffee certification. Escalo is the only organization and company that can approve a company to being 100% Colombian coffee certified. Meaning, with marketing, when you see a coffee bag on the grocery store shelf and it says 100% Colombian coffee, Escalo is the only coffee company that can certify coffee to being 100% Colombian coffee. In order for a company to meet that certification, they have to pass all the tests and certifications that Escalo has. Technology and entrepreneurship. There are many new ways that the coffee industry in Colombia is making new jobs using technology, as well as having new technology to help their product be better for their consumers, as well for their farmers to have an easier lifestyle, and to just conducting new research to help their industry. Technology. The first innovation that the Colombian coffee did for their farmers was the Smart Coffee ID. This ID was to ensure the safety of their farmers, since many farmers were being robbed and there was a lot of violence because many people know that farmers receive their money through cash. So they made these IDs sort of as a debit card so farmers could receive their payments through their ID and go to a bank and had a specific ATM for them. They would withdraw the money and they would have their money like that. But this kind of backfired since many farmers don't live near banks and are not well educated, so they don't know how this coffee ID works. The second technology I will be talking about is the agroclimatic platform. This is a platform that informs the farmers of the temperature and the contamination of their coffee beans. It allows them to see the temperature of how their coffee beans are doing and if any contamination has filled their coffee beans and are no longer useful to make into coffee. Another way that technology has affected this industry is through social media. Here's an example of one really famous Colombian coffee, which is Juan Valadez. This is a picture that this company made and posted so their customers can see like all their new merchandise such as mugs, coffee, totes, aprons. So this is a way that this company is informing their consumers of new products. Entrepreneurship. There is a lot of opportunity for the Colombian people to start their own coffee industry in Colombia through the National Coffee Fund, which was started by the NFC in 1940. This company is a non-for-profit company that was started in 1927. It was made so farmers in the 1940s had the opportunity and the resources to start their own company in Colombia. They make sure that these farmers have the opportunity to sell all their products or some of their products at the minimum price. Anybody can create their own business with the coffee using this fund. Culture. The Colombian culture is really shown through the coffee industry. You see how hard these farmers are working to ensure that consumers are getting the best product. Even though their wages are not the best, they ensure that they're doing the best that they can, as well as the research that goes behind all these companies that are willing to fund and put money into new research, as well as this coffee is very unique. A lot of countries cannot make the coffee that Colombia is making, so they ensure that they stay unique. And again, farmers are not living well, they live in poverty majority of their lives, but they continue to make the best coffee that they can. Gender. Gender is really shown in this industry. I myself was very surprised how women are very involved in this industry and they're not afraid to be farmers, and the workload and the climate and just the hard work that goes into preparing these coffee beans. Women are very much involved to an extent that there's even a coffee growing woman program. The women are highly talked about through many companies, and they want to ensure that they're allowing women to be in this industry, not just men, because men are are very well in this industry, but women are as well. In the next slide, we will be seeing how this can be backfired in a way. So let's move on. Inequality. Women in this industry are very much involved, but they are also very much not treated well by the farmers that are men. When they start, they're not really given the proper training that goes behind this, which can affect production and not having the best quality coffee, as well as they're not given breaks. They don't really have control over the land that they want to plant on because the men want to make sure that they're given the best land to work with, as well as women are deciding to leave this industry. As you can tell through the graph on the right, women are leaving this industry because they don't like the way that they're being treated, as well as violence. There's violence, how we talked about with the coffee ID, but the government is working hard to protect them. Migration. There's a time where the coffee industry in Colombia reaches a low because of the climate change and the beans are not doing well, and there's no jobs because of all the competition. So many farmers decide to leave with their families to more urban areas, such as neighboring cities, neighboring countries, and just cities and countries in general to find work. This can cause employment rates and poverty rates to increase. So that is not good for the economy where they go. But this is why many people, such as farmers, decide to leave this industry. Lastly, here are my references.